Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're just going to give it another minute before we get started. We're letting people come into the Zoom room. Nice to see that not everybody is on holiday this week. I've been getting a lot of out of office holiday emails. So thank you very much for joining us during this time of the year. I think we'll get started now. My name is Valerie DeLiederkirk. I am the coordinator of the Blue Mission Atlantic and Arctic Lighthouse, which is one of the 4 lighthouses of the Mission Ocean to restore our ocean and waters by 2030. So today we have the pleasure of welcoming 2 Mission Ocean projects. And before I go over to them, I just also wanted to welcome my partner at the Blue Mission Atlantic and Arctic Project, Beba Bruce, who is here from the University College of Cork in Ireland. So yes, we were excited about today's weekly hour. It's a bit different from what we normally showcase, but I think it's showing a trend of using art to convey science, and especially now more and more ocean science. Behind me, you'll see my virtual image there, or image, I should say, is the Portugal Pavilion in Osaka, where it's a virtual exhibition. It's showcasing the ocean and giving people the experience of being in the ocean, walking on the ocean floor. Very successful and a beautiful exhibition, and I think a great way to convey what's happening in our oceans today. Yes, really excited about this session, and I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Beba to introduce the speakers and the projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Valeria, and sunny greetings from Irish coast. As you can see, we have a lovely weather today. So I'm also very excited about this adventure. So this 1 hour is where 2 speakers, wonderful speakers, are going to present their work. And after both speakers have finished, Q&A will be open. So please do use the opportunity to put questions in the chat. And we are also very curious, where are you from joining us, and which ocean and sea is nearby? So for me, is the Irish coast. So it would be very nice to hear where you're tuning in. And about today's session, 2 wonderful adventurous projects merging art, science, and ocean and engagement. Really, key elements for reaching Mission Ocean, I would say. So the first speaker is going to be Sarah, and from the project TIDAL ArtS, and she's the coordinator of the project. And I would also like to emphasize the full name of this project, which is Transforming and Inspiring Aquatic Landscapes Through Art and Sciences. Beautiful. And then we have Chiara, which will follow after Sarah. And she's also a project coordinator of the PartArt for Oceans and Waters. And the full stand of the project is Participatory Art for Societal Engagement with Ocean and Water. That will be also exciting to hear. And we will have a little video after Chiara. And so please help me to have a warm welcome for Sarah to bring us towards the adventure of TIDAL ArtS. So the floor is yours, Sarah.
Cool. Thank you so much, Baiba and Valerie, for having us. I'm just going to share my screen. So maybe first of all, I'm coming from Berlin, so no coastline here, but the Spree River, and we're about 2 hours away from the Baltic Sea. So I'm project manager at the Submariner Network, and we're a network of institutions in the Baltic Sea area. And as Baiba mentioned, I'm also the project coordinator for TIDAL ArtS. transforming and inspiring aquatic landscapes through art and science. So like over the next 15-20 minutes, I'm going to give a little bit of an intro into our project and kind of the philosophy and ideas behind it. And then dive into a call that we just launched, the Lighthouse calls, and give a bit of details about them and about the projects that we're expecting to fund. So first off, TIDAL ArtS. It's a 3-year Mission Ocean Horizon Europe project, as was just mentioned. We have 8 partners in our consortium. It is an interdisciplinary group, so we have institutes from marine science. We have institutes focusing on community engagement. We also have cultural institutions, so it really kind of reflects the character of the project and the projects that we're planning to fund. The main goal or mission of TIDAL ArtS is to connect the arts and creative sector to Mission Ocean and Waters. This is done by then implementing projects in mission communities. And the core of the project itself will be funding for artists. So we are creating the frameworks for artists to act, but we will be distributing funds to artists across Europe in kind of 2 main batches. The first batch is the Lighthouse calls, which I mentioned have just opened, and the second batch will be a residency program, which is a year-long program, which will launch in October 2025. So looking at TIDAL ArtS as a whole, kind of what moves us as a project or what we see as our goals and our DNA. So first and foremost, it's really about being interdisciplinary. So we are starting with arts, but really combining arts. So our goal is to empower artists, scientists, and communities to first and foremost come together, but then to also create something meaningful and innovative and scalable that responds to kind of the challenges in their own backyards. And with each of these projects that we're creating, we really want to inspire people and inspire citizens. So we want to help people connect with the bodies of water that they live around in new ways, also to explore blue careers and to either rediscover their local aquatic heritage or maybe redefine it or give it a new platform. And as I mentioned, mobilization of artists is really at the heart. So we will be funding 24 artists throughout the next 3 years. But we also hope to create a community and a movement that goes along with our sister project, who you'll hear from after this, as I think Valerie mentioned in the opening, there is a movement to integrate the creative sectors. And so we want to also have a contribution to this and push it forward in Europe. And then finally, we want to connect communities. So we want to connect communities to the Mission Ocean. The mission itself, I hope most people are aware of it here, but it is an initiative from Brussels. And we want to make it also not only for the people, but from the people, so that it goes to the communities in response to what Europeans or non-Europeans living in European countries, how they relate to their oceans, what they're experiencing in terms of problems also with their marine environment. So the TIDAL logic is really about fostering connections, as I mentioned, between different disciplines, but also between different species. So our proposal was inspired by an academic from Australia named Estrida Neymanesis. I'll probably pronounce it incorrectly, but she has 2 concepts, one called the bodies of water, and another called the hydrocommons concepts. And this concept really emphasizes that we as humans are primarily water, and so that we are inherently intertwined with the bodies of water in the world. So meaning that we cannot look at ourselves as different from the aquatic environment, but that we are a part of it. And that is very much what defines our co-design methodology in TIDAL ArtS. So our approach talks about involving artists, communities, scientists, and non-human species, all as experts in their own realm. So as challengers traditional paradigms, having new ways to think about things, but then communities as really the local holders of knowledge and often of information as well, and then scientists as data holders and non-human species as experts on the local ecosystem. So I think that's kind of our broad tidal arts worldview that we are trying to communicate through our project. Now zooming in a little bit further, we get concrete by going to our Lighthouse calls, which reflect these themes which I have just mentioned. So we just launched the calls on Monday, and it will be open for 2 months. So the deadline to apply will be on June 14th. I'm sorry, I just need to move something on my computer. Okay, on June 14th. We're going to be distributing 20 grants of 15,000 euros to creatives, artists, and collectives across Europe. So each Lighthouse region will be granted 5 projects, or artists from those regions will be able to receive 5 projects. So the Lighthouse regions as defined here are the Atlantic, Arctic, the Baltic North Sea, the Danube River, Black Sea, and the Mediterranean Sea. In terms of eligible countries, all EU countries are eligible for funding, plus certain countries which are also eligible for Horizon funding. So this includes, for example, the UK, Norway, Turkey, Ukraine, etc. We have a full list on the TIDAL Arts website if that's relevant for you. And in terms of what our Lighthouse calls fund, so what is actually a Lighthouse project? So each Lighthouse project should result in a publicly displayed creative artistic expression, so a public exhibition. These exhibitions should be driven by citizen engagement and scientific knowledge, so should be participatory in nature, co-creative in nature, and they should be in a European community selected by the artist. So in an artist's home community, in a community where they live, and somewhere where they already have existing relationships. And in terms of what the project should result in, so the starting point, as we mentioned, is the mission, and the mission Ocean lays out 3 main objectives. The first is for a healthy and pollution-free inland waters and seas, and the second is for restored ecosystems and preserved biodiversity, and the third is a carbon neutral and circular blue economy. So each Lighthouse project, each application will be expected to speak to at least one of these objectives or multiple. Additionally, each artwork will need to achieve at least one of the following results, all of which are very much connected to inspiring, engaging citizens. So these projects should have citizens and the people in mind. So the first is really connecting citizens to the aquatic environments around them, or educating and fostering understanding on the themes we outlined above, so on healthy and pollution-free waters, or restoring ecosystems, or finally, increasing awareness among citizens about blue careers. In terms of what we offer as a consortium, as I mentioned, each grant is going to be for 15,000 euros. We will also be offering individualized support to every artist that is funded through this calls. So that means that you will have somebody, or the artist will have somebody on their side to support them through the process, to answer questions, to discuss changes in the project, to discuss goals and ambitions, or exhibiting the work. Further, we'll have a series of workshops in the fall. So these will take place with scientists and educators and also community members. And this will really be about creating this community that we spoke about earlier. And I think that's also something that's special about our program, is it's not just giving a grant out and having an artist go and implement something independently and coming back and sharing the results. But it's about creating a learning ecosystem that empowers everybody. So these workshops, it's also supposed to be interactive in nature. It's supposed to give artists a space to bring their ideas to the table for discussion as well. And then, finally, I mean, I think it's a great opportunity to expand your portfolio and gain international experience to work on a very exciting topic. Our approach when it came to the types of art and activities allowed was to try to make it as broad as possible within the rules of EU funding. So we really are looking for innovative approaches and are very open-minded here. So we have types of art listed, which you can see, but it was our attempt to try to include as much as possible here. So from music to performing art to design, to fine arts, visual arts, hopefully everything is there that you can think of. And in terms of who is eligible here, we have also tried to keep this somewhat broad. So it is a call meant for artists, but we define artists not just as a professionally trained or educated artist, but also as creatives, as collectives, artistic collectives of multiple people, about as creative practitioners. So you do need to be able to demonstrate a body of work that you have worked in these areas before, but you do not need to meet specified requirements in terms of what it means to actually be an artist. In terms of what's expected of the people who are funded, the projects will start in fall of 2025 and go through June 2026. So it is expected that an artist during that time completes their artistic project and exhibits their work. So that's also organized by the artist themselves. As I mentioned before, there's also a series of online workshops in which the artist will be expected to participate in. And this will also be to spur collaboration with scientists and local communities. A final point is that the artwork should also support sustainability. So we are looking to inspire citizens, as I mentioned, to hopefully inspire citizens beyond the end of the project lifetime. So that could also be through digital means, or how do we repurpose the artworks, or how do we replicate events and create a series out of these projects going forward to continue to inspire people across Europe. In terms of the evaluation of the calls, we have 4 criteria which are outlined here. I think I've mentioned many of them, but just to highlight maybe a few points. In terms of relevance, this goes really aligned with the mission goals, which I talked about, but also it speaks to the artist's understanding of the community in which they're implementing the work. So it was really our idea in designing these calls in TIDAL Arts that the projects that come out of the Lighthouse calls are really a response to the community's needs and are really developed in interaction with community members, so that the projects are embedded into communities and that people can relate to them, and as I mentioned before, be inspired by them. In terms of artistic experience and profile, as I mentioned, we want to see your work, or we want to see the artist's work and what they've done in the past, but this is, again, very, very open in terms of formal requirements. Circularity and project design has also been mentioned previously, and then impact, it's also very much about how we reach citizens through co-creative processes, but also after, to what degree are the projects participatory. And so how to apply for the Lighthouse calls, as I mentioned, we've just launched them. We're having this webinar now. We're also going to have another webinar in the middle of May to answer questions from artists and from potential applicants. So I encourage you to visit our website and sign up for that if you're interested. You can apply for a grant directly on our website. So there you can find the full call guidelines, which I would encourage you to read. They are not too long. They are somewhat long, but not too long. So I think it's of everybody's benefit if that is the starting point to an application. We then request a project proposal, which has a template. So it's simply answering a series of questions about what your plans are, how you plan to engage communities, what your goals are of your project, etc. And then also providing a short CV and portfolio. And if you have any specific questions, you can reach on these calls, you can reach out to us at artists@tidalarts.eu. And yeah, we will be sure to be in touch. And maybe just to pull it back out of the Lighthouse calls itself, but looking more into our project as a whole, because I realize we're not all artists here who may be applying for a call, but for non-artists, if you know an artist or if you know a creative or you know someone you think this might be interested in this, please share it. We're getting the word out now, and I think it's a very exciting opportunity. So I can also share links, or you can go to our website to find information about that. And then beyond the calls, we are open for collaborations. As I mentioned, that's really the nature of our project. So if you're a scientist, if you're a policymaker, a community member, and you have an idea or you want to get involved, get in touch. We can see if we can think of something together. Happy to bounce ideas off of each other, brainstorm a little. And yeah, that would be all from me. So thank you very much for listening and having a bit of insight into TIDAL Arts and the Lighthouse calls. I think we're going to be taking questions at the end if there are any, but I'm now going to hand over to TIDAL Arts' sister project. So 2 projects have been funded to give financial support to artists. And so I'm going to hand over to Chiara from PartArt4OW Ocean and Waters.
Thank you very much. I'm start sharing my screen and my slide. I hope you can see them properly. Otherwise, just let me know. All right. Okay. So PartArt is the sister project of TIDAL ArtS, and
Anna, could you make the full screen, please?
it is full screen.
Yeah, it's still loading. So yeah. Yeah, it's still coming up. We don't see the full slides yet.
Oh, you don't? Okay. It says I'm sharing the screen. I can try. I can stop and try.
Could you? Yeah, let's try one more time. Yeah. Now it works. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you for signaling it. Okay, so Participatory Art for Society Engagement with Ocean and Water is the sister project that's received funded by the European Union, the EU mission Restore Our Ocean and Water, and the endorsement by the United Nations Decade, the Ocean Decade. Okay, so what is PartArt? PartArt is a collaborative initiative which aims at harnessing the power of participatory art and creativity to promote awareness and action toward ocean and water sustainability. The partner of this project includes both university. We are the Sapienza University of Rome leading the projects, and then with us there is the T6 ecosystem. There is the Regenera Network Society and the Raw New Society, the company which is called La Fura del Baus from Spain, and last, the Cyprus Marine and Maritime Institute. Our 2 pillars includes the ocean literacy, and with ocean literacy we mean the comprehension of how the ocean impacts on individuals and collectivities, and the other way around, how individuals and collectivity affect the health of the ocean. And our main aim is to support the creation of an emotional attachment with the ocean and internal waters, which is something promoted by European communities as well. The second pillar is the participatory art and creativity. With participatory art and creativity, we mean every kind of creative effort that requires the involvement of a community, of a collectivity, since the beginning of the project itself. So it is not just devoted to involve people in the exhibition moment, but to involve citizens or communities in general from the very beginning, so the definition of the basic idea to the creation of the idea, the making of the idea itself, and then the performance at the end of the project. So basically, example of activities in which citizens can be involved include the project idea development, the hardware development, the research process that may be included in the proposal, including data gathering, analysis, development of measurement tools, the advocacy, and the evaluation, and then the communication of the initiatives performed. Basically, we are going to support 19 sub-projects called PIEs, Participatory Art Initiatives, along the 2 years and a half of the project through 3 calls. What we mean with PIEs, we mean transdisciplinary, intersectoral, and participatory 6-month projects that involve communities, consortia consisting of organizations from different sectors, including art and creativity, but also necessarily scientists from academic or research institutions, academia or research institutions, and citizens. And citizens is a very large category, which may include policymakers as well as NGOs, CSOs, or just citizens groups, informal citizens groups that are required to take part in the whole project I just described. There is a broad range of initiatives that can be qualified as PIEs. These are expected to engage citizens from diverse backgrounds in a variety of ways, combine participatory art with scientific research, to promote or activate the people's engagement with the oceans in order to create this emotional attachment I mentioned, and raising the interest and the commitment also from the policymakers, so from those who can do something to change things, who can proactively decide how to make changes in the local place in which the initiatives are performed. We, together with the funds for the participatory art initiatives, we offer an accelerator process. The accelerator is composed by a number of opportunities, which of course includes the funds, 50,000 euros, but also a supporting space for the entire project, a dedicated mentor, an intense training at the beginning of the accelerator, so we are organizing online boot camps, additional ad hoc trainings along the 6 months, and networking opportunities. Moreover, we ask everybody involved in PIEs to take part in the demo day at the end of each accelerator period that will take place in Barcelona, organized by La Fura del Baus, and to contribute to the work of the Sailing Club, of the PartArt Sailing Club. I'm going to go back to this in a few slides. And then, of course, we are helping with the dissemination. The ecosystem is something else that we offer. The ecosystem is basically a network of artists, scientists, communities, and stakeholders of different kinds that together work for the ocean and waters, and they try to do it by mobilizing art and creativity and the collaboration between art and science. And the ecosystem is basically consists of stakeholder mapping and network and the creation of an ambassador network. All of you are invited to join. And this network is intended to work as a community of knowledge. So a community that exchange good practices, information, opportunities. So it's a way to stay in touch and to create something that may be inspiring for PartArt, but also for the future. And then the Sailing Club. The Sailing Club is actually a sailing boat that is going to go to sail during the summer 2026, and to document reports about some of the initiatives that will have been founded by PartArt. Unfortunately, we cannot actually sail due to time constraints all the initiatives that we are going to found, but we invite all of the PIEs to be available and to replicate their initiatives, originally performed, originally displayed in their local place on one of the shores that the sailing club is going to touch, is going to stop during the summer 2026. So the sailing club is actually, as I say, the boat, and is equipped with artistic and visual documentation equipment, and with a dedicated team that is going to make the most of the Paris performances. The open calls, just a few informations about the open calls, because everything is already available online as we just closed the first one. The open calls are going to be 3, and they should focus, the PIs should focus on communities living in close proximity to ocean or water basins, including, of course, lakes or rivers, and touch some key society and environmental challenge for these communities. These challenges are defined by each call with a different specific dedicated attention. The first call, for instance, was about biodiversity conservation, and it just closed at the end of March. It was it was at the beginning of April, actually. It was open at the beginning of February, and now we are in the evaluation phase, while the second call is going to open on August, and the third on January 2026. The call is open for 2 months, and then we perform a selection process, a negotiation phase with the selected project, which entails a review of the project itself with the requirement of necessary changes, and also an administrative check that we are obliged to do. And then the accelerator starts, and the accelerator lasts 6 months. And in the first month, the project we expect the setup of the project and the boot camp, the participation to the boot camp. And then we are going to follow all of the participants and to support all of the participants through the entire 6 months, up to the end, when we expect them to perform the envisaged activity at the end of the 6 months in their local place, and then as I say, to reproduce it in the demo day in Barcelona, or to wait for the sailing club to join their shore and reproduce them during the sailing club visits. Some tips about the eligibility. Of course, as TIDAL Arts, we have some requirements for what concerns the eligibility criteria that comes from the European Commission. We are looking for projects that must be implemented within the territories of the EU member states, of course, including overseas countries and territory and associated countries. And we have complete list that you can access on the website in the open call section. The call is open to individuals, legal entity, and consortium. The applicants must be necessarily legally established in EU member states or associated countries. And of course, double funding is not allowed as for every European project. And the further point is that every entity is allowed to participate in only one application, either on its own or as part of the consortium. And all the guidelines are available on our website, PartArt4OW, and you can access them through the section open calls, and there are guidelines available over there. In our case, quite long, but it's important that you read all of the pages, and you make sure that you comply with all of the specific requisites of the call. You can also follow us on our social media channels and subscribe our mailing list through the websites again, or enter our networking ecosystem, and there is a dedicated section on the website where you can find more information on how to map. If you're already running a project, you want to map it on our collective and collaborative map, you can access the website and see how to do it. Now, before I go, I would like to give you some insights about ourselves. So the collaboratorium I'm running, that is the basically is the one who is leading PartArt as well. We are working at the Sapienza University of Rome, and this is the Collaboratorium for Socio-Environmental Analysis of the Ocean, which is based in the economic faculty of the Sapienza. And what we do, is to work to make change happens, and this is what we also expect from PIES, by mobilizing multidisciplinary and radically participatory exploration, documentation and engagement techniques. And of course, all of them are required, and we try to do our best to make them context specific, so to tackle cogent issues for people living in a specific area. And this is also, again, something that we expect from the project sub-project we are going to found in PartArt. The collaboratorium that is running PartArt has been supported by the European Union Prize for Citizen Science in 2024. And we are basically geographers using marine social geography and visual documentation techniques to advance collaborative and transformative engaged research. I want to mention just a couple of products of this collaboratorium. The first one, see also the engagement of our chairs today by Bapruse, and is a book which is called Blue Kinship, an exploration of society and the ocean relationships. And is actually a book which is prefiguring what we expect from the PIES in PartArt, because it engages with existing experiences, merging art and science for the ocean. And we have a number of chapters. I'm not going through all of them, of course, but as you can see, we also have chapters from people we are present today here. So it's expected to be out in a couple of months. And a further product that I want to share with you, and I asked Barbara to show operate the video, is a short video which reports about the creative and artistic events we organized for the ocean last summer, so in 2024, which was founded by a new European Bauhaus project. And this is just the idea is just to give you an inspiration for the PIES, and so for the forthcoming call of PartArt for Ocean and Water. So Baba, if you want to operate the video, is fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chiara, and I will share the screen for the video.
creando un evento di arte partecipativa.
Fish Art!
Fish Art è uno spazio al confine tra il mare e la terra e quindi è arte partecipativa quella che stiamo facendo, ma per l'oceano.
We fucked up this planet and there is no next planet. I mean, if the thing is, we don't have another planet. So if we don't want the emergency sign to become reality, we need to do something about the plastic, about the waste, about the stuff that's happening in the ocean.
Il mare è un disastro perché non lo difendiamo. Il mare è nostro, è di tutti e quindi dobbiamo difenderlo. Ognuno nel suo piccolo può fare una cosa.
Tutte le installazioni, opere, creazioni e forme di innovazione sono finalizzate a capire meglio che cosa sta succedendo all'oceano, al nostro mare, questa porzione di oceano.
Bottiglie, mesoplastiche, reti, Rappresentano il Plastocene, ovvero sia l'epoca in cui oramai noi siamo, noi creature viventi, mescolati alla plastica.
Ho raccolto delle plastiche spiaggiate per crearne un'opera. È una denuncia fondamentalmente, perché ormai il mondo è invaso da queste microplastiche, sono ovunque, sono nell'aria, sono nell'acqua. Con le mie opere voglio rappresentare il rapporto che intercorre fra cibo e plastica, in particolare la microplastica, quella che troviamo nei cibi di uso comune, dal gambero alla frutta, cibi qualsiasi che pensiamo che siano salubri, mentre sono comunque contaminati da piccoli frammenti di plastica.
Utilizziamo l'arte per veicolare i contenuti della scienza, ma anche per vedere qualcosa che la scienza non ci aveva fatto vedere a sufficienza.
Mi è sempre stato raccontato un mare pulito, un mare privo di plastica da piccolo in tutte le storie, e ogni volta che andavo al mare però trovavo dei pezzi di plastica, a volte trovavo dei granchi soffocati, dei pesci e varie creature marine inquinate e soffocate dalla plastica.
Quello che abbiamo qui esposto ad Anzio per il progetto Fish Art è il tentativo di coinvolgere tutta la cittadinanza, le associazioni ambientaliste, le associazioni artistiche e artisti anche internazionali per ricreare una relazione emotiva, emozionale con l'oceano. Attraverso lo sguardo degli artisti, ma anche di tutti coloro che vanno in mare e che ogni giorno ci vivono come pescatori, riusciamo a capire qualcosa di più, a vedere qualcosa che ci sfuggiva, e che questo sguardo è prezioso quando vuoi creare della conoscenza che sia anche trasformativa per l'oceano, come quello che stiamo vedendo adesso qui.
Thank you very much. And there was a reason I wanted the credits to be, as art and science involves a lot of people. So thank you for the celebratory mood, Chiara, for that.
Yes, I'm sorry for the subtitles because there were no English subtitles, but actually there is the video on YouTube with English subtitles. I don't know why it was not the right link, but on YouTube you can find the English subtitles as well.
Thank you, Chiara. But I think art is a multi-language, so
yes,
and so is ocean. So it was visually capturing either way without, yeah. And there is a word microplastic, which is translatable for all the languages. So thank you for that. And now we are at the Q&A part of the questions and answers, and I see lots happening while I was sharing the screen, so I'm just capturing up what's happening. But there is one particular question also, which was brought by Valeria, and I also put one emphasis in there, and this is going to be for both of you, Chiara and Sarah, about the current support when it comes to merging diverse disciplines and professions and involving creatives and working with creatives. What is the current scenery in EU at the moment with these types of collaborations, and maybe also how to inspire or bring scientists as well as artists in more of these collaborations? So Chiara, would you like to answer, and then Sarah to build on that? And yeah, here you are.
Yeah, I can try. This is a very conceptual question. Well, basically, at present, I think we are making an effort towards transdisciplinary rather than just interdisciplinarity. So it's something that is changing the way we are approaching some wicked problems, such as the oceanic pollution, which requires an engagement both from natural scientists or art scientists, but also from social science. So from my perspective as academic, I can say that the effort of translating and understanding each other from different disciplinary backgrounds is something that we are quite well aware we need to do. Sometimes I see resistances in engaging into this kind of cross-disciplinary or transdisciplinary efforts, because especially research, but also art world is quite keep being quite sectorial. So this is something that does not fuel communication and transdisciplinary participation, because your result from a scientific perspective, but also for artists, are really tend to be really embedded within a scientific community, within a distinctive community that recognize the validity of your results only if you speak a language which is accepted as valuable as the truth by the community of reference. And this, of course, is an impediment toward transdisciplinarity. So it's something that we know we need to go towards, but when you try to do it, we need to consider that a lot of time is required, and you need to be very patient, because sometimes there are criticalities and negotiation and diplomatic work to be done. But that's my perspective.
Thank you, Chiara, for that view. Sarah, would you like to add?
Yeah, I mean, I would just echo Chiara. I think, I mean, really in terms of how we bridge the language barrier. And I think, I mean, with new generations, you're already seeing this. So I think there's definitely progress already being made here. We have become experts in all of these topics, and expertise often leads to silos, we like to say a lot of times, so that everybody's looking at their little niche in a very specific way and can answer every question on it. But I think this bringing art and science together is really how do we bring the expertise together and also give space for generalists and to speak, these different languages. And so I completely agree with Chiara. I love the alluding to the wicked problems, and then you need wicked solutions too. And I think that's where this is coming from. And I mean, you do see funding like through these projects, but just I think since we started TIDAL Arts, you see also the need for it. So many people are interested in this topic, and whenever a call goes out, there are so many more applications that can be funded. So I think the interest is there, and it's also about creating, like funding structures in these kinds of ecosystems to support people to then enter this kind of transdisciplinary sectors.
Thank you for that. And there are also, I noticed in the chat, more practical questions. I'm not sure, Sarah, I know you answered some, but would you like to emphasize something which was maybe unclear to the participants, or just to pinpoint maybe where to add more of these practical questions and the email where to send these?
Yeah, so I highlighted in the first response that we have this email, artists@tidalarts.au. So if either of you are not satisfied with my answer, I encourage you to also send it there. And I can also talk to my team in the background about your questions as well, because I realize there's always a lot of nuances in these calls, and it's not always incredibly straightforward. But just in terms of the double funding clause, if you have applied for a PartArt4OW grant, you can definitely apply for one of our calls. The exclusion would only come in if you are funded. If your project is funded by them, then the project cannot also be funded by us. So that's answering that question. And then in terms of having projects focused more on exhibiting work and showcasing the work and kind of scaling up artistic works that's also very much in line with our calls. I just also wanted to highlight there to remember the co-creative element and character of the projects in reaching citizens, to make sure that's also part of your project. But yeah, happy to take any more questions in the chat or via email.
Thank you for this. And also just to pinpoint what the questions were, they were more about can the artist or the collective supply. And there's actually also one additional question which just came in about this extra support. So Chiara, in your experience and for your calls, if the artist is applying, and can they also apply for external support, so to make the project bigger, would that be something allowed? Or also, how does that resonate?
I think this that Sarah already explained this point. For what concern a project that is going to be funded by PartArt, participants cannot apply for funds and get funds for the same activity that has been funded by PartArt. So if they have, let me make an example. For instance, there may be an international festival that is run every year in a specific location, a large festival, and there is an association that every year take part and engage in this festival with with a theater performance. This year they decide to expand this and to add the further performance on ocean literacy. They can apply for PartArt, and so they have funds from the festival to perform their usual activity, the theatrical piece, for instance, and then get support from PartArt for the extra activity, which is focused on the ocean and water. And this is something that we can't fund. We cannot fund something that is already funded by something else.
Thank you. Does that resonate with the TIDAL Arts as well? Would you like to comment?
Yeah, that definitely resonates with TIDAL Arts as well. And maybe just also responding to the comment in terms of non-financial support, so partnerships. Yes, I mean, that is definitely allowed and encouraged if you have an existing relationship with a city where you could show your work at a space that you've already organized, or an institution that's willing to support you and give you a space to exhibit your work. These kinds of collaborations are very much encouraged. And I think also when it comes to marketing or promoting your work online or in person, this is also a benefit for the mission and a benefit for TIDAL Arts. So yes, very much encouraged.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Chiara. There are more questions coming in, and they are more about approaching and reaching artists. Chiara, I know your first call was out, and how did you manage to get applications running, and how did you find that process?
Well, it seems that we managed in a way or another, because we got a very large number of applications, much more than we expected. So thanks everybody who is taking part in this event, who participated, submitted proposal for PartArt, and everybody else who is not here. Actually, we try to reach as far as possible all the communities that we are aware about of people working on art and ocean or art and water. So we get in contact, we make web research, we get in contact with these communities, both under the international institutions, for instance, the Ocean Decade or the European Commission, or just independent communities that we reach through our academic or just personal contact. So large networks that includes lots of people, and so we try to spread the voice as much as possible through both institutional channels and our private channels. So this means basically all the social media that we have been able to mobilize. And we hope and we think we have been able to reach a quite large number of people, as according to the numbers we have up to now. It is well possible that somebody had no news about it. it's very difficult to reach everybody. We expect, however, that people working in art and water or ocean are also individually interested in surfing the website and looking for opportunities. So we made sure that all of the posts on social media or the website is indexed according to keywords, so that everybody accessing the web and using a browser to look for art or creativity and ocean can end up with finding our codes. This is what we did.
Thank you. This is a nice sharing, Sarah. Some of the learnings yeah, I guess similar strategies, right, Sarah?
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have much to add. I think get it out there as wide as possible. Tap into a lot of existing European networks too of artists already.
Thank you for that. And just also follow up on an additional question. And Chiara, you have experience and you presented the Blue Kinship book. I'm looking forward to read that for sure. But there is a question about publications on transdisciplinarity, especially when art and ocean and science is mixed. Are there any suggestions of these sort of journals or platforms? I know you have your own site as well, but maybe some good learnings for people to pick up.
Well, the only suggestion is never give up. Is just keep on trying. There are no other suggestions. As I mentioned, academic fields, we are all embedded into containers, to say disciplinary containers that are, of course, very supportive for your own research, but at the same time, it's difficult to, when you try to step out or just create links with somebody from different disciplinary fields, especially if these fields are apparently quite distant from your own. So if you write a paper with a biology, if you are a sociologist, and you write a paper with a biologist, the first issue is where we are going to publish it, or at least attempt at publishing it. And this is tough. There is nothing else to say. At present, there are some new reviews, journals that are trying to make to offer transdisciplinary context for publication, but these are, to my knowledge, quite new, so they are not very high in the international publication ranking, so not very attractive for scholars who want to have their products in a well-known outlet. So basically, my suggestion is you keep on writing from your disciplinary perspective, and also at the same time make some attempt with transdisciplinary publications. So you have your product required from the scientific community for your career, Pietro, but also advance the way in which you think science should work through transdisciplinary collaboration, which means basically doubling the work you're doing. I know.
Well, I hope, Pietro, that was inspiring, though. Yeah, I think what you both were sharing, Sarah and Chiara, your work and your team's work is about, making a different bridge, making and not looking at the usual borders. So I think that's quite inspiring to hear that there is this power in doing so, and yeah, and collaboratively. So I'm very happy to see both projects present here. Just for the final sort of words, I know, Sarah, you mentioned this beautiful book and story which inspired TIDAL Arts, but I'm wondering from your personal sort of visions about merging ocean and arts, what is inspiring you to go further? As Chiara also said, there is some things which, are in our ways to do it, but what keeps you moving to merge these two fields? Yeah, Sarah.
I think on a personal level, for me, just getting outside and experiencing the marine environment or the aquatic world or water every day is like my space of peace. And I think to be able to get others out there and do the same thing and reconnect to their aquatic environment, and then to bring in knowledge of science and bring in art as a method of inspiration, is what keeps me going. So giving others this feeling that I get when I get outside, and I think there's no better way to do that than by working together across disciplines.
Well, that's great. You inspired me to soon go out at the beach. I hope my colleagues will not mind. And then just also, Chiara, if you can reflect, and then we will close the session.
Yeah, well, actually, I think, well, I said a lot. I just want to say that together with things that we can read through and the context, going outside, as you mentioned, this is a key inspiration. So we try to complement the activity of PartArt with a sailing club, exactly because we think that there is something that cannot be expressed with words about the ocean, and it can only be tested with the body, with the experience. So we, unfortunately, we cannot bring everybody to the sea, but what we are trying to do is to bring the sea to everybody. So trying to make this accessible, at least visually, to everybody. And so as Nietzsche says, that you have not to you have to look for ideas that comes out when you are out, where you are not closed into something. So the ideas that you can rely upon are the ones that pops up while you are outside walking, or just looking around, wandering around and losing yourself somewhere. So
thank you. Then basically, let's merge ourselves in the ocean. And I thank Blue Missionary team. I see Valeria is also here. And yeah, I think we thank the speakers. And Valeria, is there something else we would like to add?
No, I just wanted to say thank you very much for an inspiring webinar. I learned a lot, and really looking forward to the products of your projects, to the outcomes. And I loved what you shared, Sarah, also about we are water. And I would just add to that that we also see through water because our lenses are full of water, which I think oftentimes people forget that we see our world through water, or liquid. Yeah. So that's all, but thank you very much, and excellent moderation, Baiba. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, Kyra.